Yeah, Doug. You know, looking at the overall roster now, it seems like the young prospects in the organization, guys like the Merkleys and Leonard and Shimolevsky, they're going to get more of an opportunity to play some AHL games, I would think. How much was that on your mind in the way you approached this offseason? Is that maybe now by adding some vets, you can also get the benefit of letting some of the younger players marinate in the AHL first?
Yeah, Kevin, it's such a unique year, and you're trying to have all those things happen. We don't even know when the American Hockey League is going to start, and so you're right. All these things factor in. One of the reasons that we wanted to make sure that we had this depth and adding the players that we have is to have internal competition, which is really important, but to create that depth because we don't know when the season's going to start. We don't know if it's going to be compressed. We certainly want to leave opportunities for our the Gregors and Gambrels and players like that. But having depth is crucial. And what we've tried to do is you create depth and competition. We added Dubnik and Melnichuk for goalie competition, for example. Ryan Donato for young forward competition. And then Patrick and Steph Nason and Matty Nieto coming in for forward competition because these guys can go up and down in the lineup. And they're here to compete. And I think that's what we need is. And looking back, maybe I didn't have enough depth and enough competition last year early in the season. So we didn't want to go down that path. And that's why we've done what we've done and have people have opportunities, but they got to earn it. And having players, as I say, like Patty and Steph and Matty Nieto coming back in that, they'll push for ice time because they're all going to compete and they're NHL players.
Shane?
Hey, Doug, you mentioned match speed and penalty killing in the press release. Is it fair to say that those are elements that you were looking to add at the beginning of the off season? And also, too, does this also kind of hint at potential tweaks to the penalty kill under John Madden?
Well, first of all, we had the best penalty kill in the league last year, and that's really an important part of our game. And without Barkley and Melker Karlsson being here, we needed somebody that's familiar that can do that job. And Matty can do that job, and he does it in a way with speed. We want to get faster as a group also. One of the other things I really liked about Matty is when he went to Colorado, they went through a resurgence and how they did it. They got back to the details. They brought a new coach in, and they really turned it around pretty quickly. So his experience is not only with us in the 2016 Stanley Cup run, but what he went through in Colorado, he can share that also. Both these guys are such quality guys, quality people, and great teammates too. That them coming back into our dressing room, I think, is a big add-on.
Curtis?
Hey, Doug. Obviously, Patrick is less than 50 games in passing Gordie Howe for the all-time games played record in the NHL. If he was going to set that or pass Gordie, how important was it for you that he does that in the Sharks uniform?
Well, it's important. I mean, he's one of the most iconic players in not only Sharks history, but the NHL's history. If you look at his bio, it's truly incredible and what he's done since he came to this organization. And it's not just about this record, though. Patty is a competitor. He wants to compete. He loves the game because there's nobody that puts that amount of work into it if you don't really love it. And his elite level of fitness, I think, is inspiring to everybody, inspiring to our young players. He may not say a lot, but he says an awful lot with his actions. And bringing him back into the room, I think, is important. And if he's going to set that record, which is an incredible, incredible record, it should be in a Sharks jersey.
Josh?
Hey, Doug, thanks for doing this. Went into Friday not really knowing what the free agent market was going to look like because of the pandemic and all the economics. I'm just wondering what your impressions are of it 5 days later. From afar, some players are getting less term, less money than they might have expected or received in a regular time. Are certain players or agents facing, tough decisions or harsh realities with just so little money in the system?
Yeah, it's just so unknown and so unique. Different people have leverages than other people. Supply and demand, teams trying to decide, you go such a long period of time without playing. Are you better off going with younger players? You're better off going with, older guys. It's just a unique time that we sat down and we looked at it and, we wanted to have a blend. We know that our best players have to come back and be our best players. That's a given. You also want opportunities for your young guys, but you better have depth and veteran guys that can push them. And you may need more players than you've ever needed, coming back and ramping up quickly in a compressed schedule. So all those things factor into your decisions. The good players are always going to get their money. There's going to be a squeeze somewhere. The UFA market might have been different, or the RFA market, because of our rights, those players had more leverage. It's just a different time and place that you can't refer back to any other time. Since I've been in this league anyhow, where the scenarios have been like this. But we're all in it, all weeding through this journey together. We're trying to clarify how we're going to play, which the coaches have done a great job getting players that can fit how we want to play, and then having competition to force people to be on top of their games and earn their ice time.
I think Kevin asked about, your young players and just across the league, or with your team in particular coming out of the draft. How much of a concern is it not knowing when these young players are going to get to play, whether it's in the Q or whether it's in the O or it's university hockey or whatever, or even the AHL, like you mentioned? Like, how much of a worry is it in terms of their developmental plane, this lost time and what it could mean like way down the road?
Well, Josh, it's a challenge even more so because the 7 teams that didn't get to do the restart or have a camp or have time with their players, and that's another thing you have to factor in. We're trying to explore having some of our players maybe start and play in Europe. We've got some players over there now. The ability to have additional time at training camp and be able to ramp this up. It's a challenge. There's no doubt. We've been in constant contact with our players. We've got a group of players back in San Jose already. We've got the coaches that are reaching out and talking to players. It's also why it's advantageous, I think, to bring back in players that have been in our room before, like Patty and certainly Maddie Nieto, Steph Nason coming back in. So again, you factor all those things in. You got young players that are chomping at the bit that want to come in and show what they can do, and their exuberance and excitement, I think, is a positive thing to bring to the table. But till we get them all back on the ice and together, there's a bit of unknown to it, but it's an uncertainty that every team has to deal with.
Great. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Zeiss?
Hello, can you hear me, Doug?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay, good talking to you. I just wanted to bring up the fact you mentioned iconic Sharks, iconic players. Patty Marleau was asked, would it be cool if Jumbo came back to the Sharks? And he said, yeah, it'd be really comforting for me. Obviously, Joe's in Switzerland mulling over his future, as he's want to do. Has the door been closed on that? What is the situation between Joe and the Sharks?
I talked to Jumbo a couple of days ago. Any conversations he and I have are always kept in confidence. The respect and admiration we have for him as a player, as a person, as a man, what he's done for this organization. But those conversations stay between him and I. And, we communicate quite a bit, quite often. And, we want what's best for Jumbo and for everybody involved. But as I say, those conversations stay between him and I.
Okay, thank you.
Shang?
Doug, I think last Friday you suggested that San Jose is still, looking for kind of a veteran bottom pairing defender. Just wanted to check, is that still the case? And also too, just, what else might you be looking at in free agency or trade that you can say?
Yeah, it's still going to be quite a while before we start up, and getting our depth taken care of, getting, as I say, the competition in all areas of our lineup is really important. I think we've got some young guys that are telling me, don't go get anybody else or bring anybody in. This is a competition we want. We want to take these jobs. My response is, well, just come in and take the job. Don't wait for the door to open. Knock it down. Put the work in, and when we all get back together. But there is going to be competition, and as you see in all different areas of our lineup, you've got that depth, and it doesn't mean that there's not other things that we're not still exploring. I mean, we've made trades. One of the biggest trades we ever made was in training camp a couple of years ago. So we're open to a lot of things. Having the flexibility, having the depth of players to be able to give the coaching staff, different combinations or different looks is real important. And then once we get everybody back together, we can take a look and see what we have, what we need, what opportunities are still out there, and it's that part's still going to be fluid.
AJ, I think it is.
Yeah, hi Doug, AJ Tealtown, USA. I'm just wondering, Santa Clara County looks as though they are lifting restrictions, and if memory serves, October 15th was kind of a date set for opening facilities to players. I'm wondering if you can talk more about the facilities and when they will be actually open to the players to begin any type of training.
Well, we have players in town. We adhere to the county regulations, and we will do that all the way going forward until they allow us to move to the next phase. Ray Tufts, our medical trainer, Scotty Emmert's on top of it. So what we do is, we want everybody to be safe and healthy, not just our players, but everybody in our community. And we defer to the doctors, the medical people to give us directives. So I don't have an answer for you on any of those dates. When we get them, we'll move forward. We don't know when our training camp is going to start or when our season is going to start. All we can do is be focused on being ready. And the guys are putting all the work in. Guys are training wherever they may be. And I think Patty mentioned the guys are really excited to get back playing hockey. They're coming back with a chip on their shoulder with a little edge and attitude, which I kind of like.
Kevin Kurz.
Yeah, Doug, if there is, say, a vacancy in terms of a depth center, is Frederick Handemark, is this a guy that is still in the plans and is still coming over? And it just strikes me that he's 27 years old, and you don't do that deal unless you think this is a guy that could play in the NHL right away. I mean, is that fair to say? And what's the status with him?
It is fair to say, Kevin, and that's why the competition, if you take a look at it, guys that, when I talk to them, they're saying, don't give my spot away. Don't bring anybody on PTOs. Handemark he's older, he's experienced. Shellman's older, Suomela. We've got guys, Ryan Donato says, hey, don't forget about me. I can play any position, center, left wing, right wing. So what you've got is they look, and even when you add, Patrick and Steph and Matty Nieto, everybody can count. And what you really want is that competition. And, look back last year, I probably didn't have enough of that competition, not enough of that depth early in the year. And then when we suffered a suspension and a couple of injuries, then I had to react and do something. We wanted to get ahead of the curve a little bit this year, again, because compressed schedule, starting quickly, ramping up, having more players that can come and compete. The players will decide who is in the lineup opening night, but there's a lot of competition now in place. And it's, I think that's a healthy thing.
Curtis?
I guess Doug, maybe you just touched on this, but are you okay if Joe Thornton is not a member of the San Jose Sharks for the 2021 season? And how weird would that be not to see him around?
Well, my feelings for people like Joe Thornton and Patty Marleau is beyond respect. These guys love the game, what they've done for this franchise, but players have choices, and I want them to do what's right for them. We want to treat everybody with great respect. With Jumbo, again, my conversations with him, he and I stay in private. They're confidential between the two of us, but he knows, and he knows how we all feel about him. It's no different than Patty. Here we have Patty coming back for the second time, and it's interesting world, interesting time in this game, in this league where we're at, and the feelings that we have for Patrick when he left and came back, the feelings that we have for Joe Pavelski, for Jumbo, anybody that's been here and contributed to this franchise for a long time is a special place in our hearts.
Kevin?
Yeah, Doug, if this is the roster you go to camp with, what kind of expectations would you have for next season?
It reminds me a little bit, and I don't go back to my first year, and I don't. You can't really compare this year to anywhere else where we had a lot of unknowns, and people said, "Well, geez, you're going to go with some younger players. You've got guys that maybe didn't have a great year the year before, or whatever." We went to the Western Conference Finals. We made the playoffs, and people were shocked. In this league, it's such parity. We have high-end players. You take a look at our defense. You take a look at, we've got 4 30-goal scorers, a 60-point guy. We've got 2 Norris Trophy guys. We've got to get off to a great start. We've got to be connected as a group, and the results will take care of themselves. And even the teams that went back into the bubble this year, unique time, and there's some teams that people thought, well, these teams are the dominant teams. Some of them struggled, and teams that maybe other teams said, well, geez, they don't have as much talent as other teams. Some of those teams succeeded. So, having not played for such a long period of time, for getting a group back and getting them connected and ready to go right out of the gate is crucial. Do I think this is a playoff team with this roster? Yes, I do. I felt that, my first year when I came in. Now, a lot of things have to, we've got to play the right way. Our style of play has to allow our goalies to have a chance. Our goalies have to be on top of their game. We've got to have a good power play. I think we have the ingredients to have one of the best power plays in the league. Our PK has to be good. Ultimately, you got to come down to your goal differential has to be on the positive side. It can't be like it was last year. So we know the things. We know the players that we believe in our players. They know things that they want to do differently than a year ago. You learn things when you go through a year like you had last year. We have a lot of competition. You got a lot of juice and energy. People can't wait to get back. And then I'll be honest with you, it doesn't mean that we don't add other pieces or do other things. But, right now, you look in the calendar, this is what our team is today. We have depth. We've got some other people that have come in. Our best guys, they know that they have to be on top of their games. Thank God they're all 100% healthy. But I think going forward, it is going to be a unique season upcoming. And I know we're all looking forward to getting started. And when it starts, we don't know, but I think our guys are working hard to be ready. We cannot get off to a bad start like we did the last 2 years in a row because there's too much parity in this league. And you got to have talent. We have a certain amount of talent, there's no doubt, but you got to have a team that plays the right way, plays for each other. And I know the coaches have been working their tails off to make sure that how we're going to play and what our system is going to be adhered to. And I think our group is looking forward to some of the adjustments and changes in our style of play. We want to get quicker as a team. We want to attack. We certainly have to defend a whole lot better in our D zone at 5-on-5. We can do it a man short, but we certainly didn't do it 5-on-5. So we know those things, and we'll put the work in to get it better.
We have time for 1 or 2 more here. Looks like Curtis.
Hey, Doug, what's your feeling of how long the season's going to be next year? I don't know if we're going to be able to get 82 games in, but what's your sense on how long the season's actually going to be?
Curtis, I got to be honest. I wish I knew. Your crystal ball is probably as clear as mine is, or muddy as mine is. There's so many unknowns. When we're going to start, how long the season's going to be. Is it going to be compressed? Where are we going to play? I wish I knew. Are we going to have a development camp? Because having all those pieces of information would certainly make it easier to make some of these decisions that we need to make. I just felt that we needed more depth, more bodies, more guys that are kind of connected to our group to be able to deal with that unknown or potentially how I feel the ramp up could be. But again, I'm semi-guessing like anybody else is when we're going to start and how we're going to do it. But I'd like to think we're prepared for it.